Hi, I'm Matt Reardon with Nutrien Ag Solutions. This is Lessons from the Field. Well, I'll be honest, I'm excited that we could swing this, Jeff, to get you in here today, put this on the calendar. Really appreciate you coming in. I'm joined by Jeff Tarsi. He is our president of global retail at Nutrien Ag Solutions. Again, Jeff, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I'm more excited than you are. I love agronomy. I love technology. I love innovation, and this farm allows me to see all that put together in on one tract of land, and I'm excited about. We're going to be showing it off a little bit today to Mark Thompson, who's our CFO of Nutrien, and Jeff Hoseman, who runs our investor relations group. And so I'm excited to see and hear their feedback from it as well, because outside of training at this facility, we'll use this to bring some of our shareholders and stakeholders through it as well, to showcase some of the things we're doing.
Jeff, when I think about kind of our day-to-day forecasting work, just as agricultural meteorologists, we're often focused on maybe regional weather issues, whether droughts growing in some portions of the Corn Belt. Some days it's severe weather or hurricanes later in summer. But in your role, you have to think more national or even international perspective. When you think about weather, how does it play into high-level strategy at Nutrien? And if it does, can you think of any specific examples over the last year or two?
Yeah, so first of all, people like to say that sometimes I've heard in the business world, don't give me a weather forecast. Well, I can tell you, in the industry and the enterprise that we have here at Nutrien, there's no way not to factor weather into our business, into our results, performance, the whole shooting match. And so I think of weather continuously throughout the day. On it, some of that comes from the fact that I grew up on a farm, and we lived by the 6 o'clock news in the morning and the 10 o'clock news at night,
right.
Because that's where we got our sources of weather from and such. And so, my footprint in the role that I play with Nutrien, my footprint's very large. So it is more than regional. Sure. I'm looking at a footprint over North America, both the U.S. and Canada. I'm looking at a footprint that covers the continent that exists with our Australian business, even down into New Zealand a bit. And I'm looking at a footprint of Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. And so I'm looking at those, and I'm also having to factor in that all of those are in a bit of a different season, and from that perspective. And
Sure.
so, we're in the fall and winter going into Australia, and getting on the tail end of a second crop corn market in Brazil right now, yet we're wide open finishing up planting in North America. And so when I'm looking at the weather, I'm looking at it from different perspectives. Right now, I'm looking at what we have crop emergence here in North America and what I know we need to be able to sustain this crop going forward. If I look in the southern half of the United States, we've had entirely too much moisture in a lot of spots there. And so I'm looking and pleading that I see an open window to get the crop planting finished and to be able to get some of the applications that I know we need to have.
Yep.
And so I'm looking at our weather all day, every day. And I think, having been around the business 40 years, I generally have a pretty good indication or knowledge of what I think we need, this ideal,
Sure.
to be able to carry out our business plan and to be able to service our customers.
When you look at different conversations that we have with growers, it might be international in some cases, Australia, whether it's here in North America, it really drills down locally to what their concerns are. And we hear time and time again in any of these locations that they're concerned about precipitation extremes, either too much water, we just saw that in the Mid-South this spring, or too little water. They're worried about drought, especially in the peak of summer. From your role, your perspective, what sort of weather event keeps you up at night? What are you worried about in the forecast?
Well, from a perspective of keeping me up at night, first of all, and I tell people this, the one thing that keeps me up at night, and it relates to the number one priority we have in our business across Nutrien, whether it's upstream, midstream, or downstream, is the safety of our people, okay? And so from a weather standpoint, what would keep me up at night is torrential storm systems that would put our people at danger. I'm so happy that we have our severe weather alerts that we get from our weather team now, and I find those highly useful. In a lot of cases, sometimes we're 48 to 72 hours out, and we're saying, hey, you need to start getting your mind around the potential severe weather that we see developing across this section of the country, and such. And so, from a pure keep me up at night, it's from a standpoint of, hey, are our facilities secure? Do we have our yards secure of things that can move off? Number one, are our people aware of this impending danger? And have we drilled our safety protocols around keeping our people safe? Now, I can get into a whole nother arena of what I hope for from a business standpoint, and number one, from our customer standpoint. And look, we use those weather alerts as well to educate our growers as well, that hey, there could be some impending storms coming. I want them to be safe and secure, just like I want our people to be safe and secure. And so the better transparency we have into that, the better we can prepare, the better we can drill, the better we can be ready for those types of systems. And look, we're seeing, I made this comment last night, the day of just having a slow-moving front come through and just drop an inch of rain, my gosh, is that just non-existent anymore? It seems like with every weather system today, there's a violent storm that accompanies, that system. We're seeing hail in a lot of cases, damaging, whether it's straight line winds or my part of the world, tornadic type conditions and such. And it leads me to change, leads me to question, hey, we got some differences in our climate today. And those are all things that we have to prepare for because they affect our business. And they're things that I want to learn more about as well, and our people in our organization, so that we can work with our growers to be better prepared in those instances as well. Number one, from safety, but number two, from how it affects the cropping, and how we want to be prepared for the solutions that we build as it relates to that.
Yeah. I appreciate you mentioning that. The Mid-South, where all that flooding came through this year, it didn't come without severe reports. I mean, we saw multiple severe tornado outbreaks. We saw hail, wind reports. It's not like it just fell as light rain 3 days in a row. There was these severe events as well. And from the safety perspective, we send out these alerts, and a unique thing that we've found is that some of our retail employees become something of ambassadors with that weather information. So they will then relay that to their customers and their communities, and we love that because it allows that message to reach more people in those specific areas.
It's absolutely. Look, if we think we're adamant about weather, put yourself in a grower's shoes. Their complete livelihood is based off. And look, at the end of the day, ours as well. If it's their livelihood, I always say, growers doing well, we're doing well. Growers not doing well, we're not doing well. That's an easy formula and an easy calculation. It doesn't ever not work in my opinion. So that's right. And we try to do the same thing with that, Matt, in anything that relates to safety. Anything we learn at our facility that we think keeps our people safer, I urge our folks to share that information with our customers as well from that standpoint.
We've seen this advancement in AI recently. If you had asked me 4 or 5 years ago, Matt, when do you think this will start having an impact on weather forecasts or meteorology? We sometimes call them numerical weather prediction models. I would have been skeptical, and frankly, my prediction would have been wrong. We've seen them improve forecast accuracy. The models in some cases are getting more efficient, less money required, less compute power to use, and now we have some ingested right here, helping to power some of our forecasts. And that's great. It's great for growers. It's great to keep costs down. That's a way to get faster, more accurate forecasts out to the field. However, at the same time, you think about the last 3 to 4 years with social media, the channels with which you can get that weather forecast have exploded. It's no longer just the 10 p.m. news at night when you're getting home. It's on apps. It's on social media. You might be getting it through Facebook. How have you seen these kind of weather consumption shift over the last 5 years, maybe over your career? And how can Nutrien, with regards to its strategy, play a role in providing that weather information from a coherent source of real scientists?
Yeah, so everything, if I look back, I started in this industry in 1985. And there are very few things today that would be the same as 1985. Matter of fact, I'm sitting here trying to think what it is, other than we still work the soil. Other than that, just about everything's changed. The products we've changed, 90% of the products we use today have changed. The technology is, I'm sitting out here this morning looking at some of the equipment that we're going to get a closer look at a little bit later today, and looking at the technology that's on that equipment. That's all changed as well from that standpoint. And again, as I mentioned to you earlier, from when I started in this business, you saw the weather at 6 o'clock that morning, and then generally at 10:15, 10:20 that night, you saw it again. And we know today in the world that we lived in, and I just talked about some of the violentness of the storms and how quick some of this stuff pops up, that a lot changes in a 15 or 16 hour time frame. And so the luxury today is that people are continuously, no matter what the source of that weather is, people are continuously getting a look at the weather and how is that changing during the day. And one of the big changes that I've seen, number one, I've just said growers are much more efficient today than they were. And that's changed throughout my 40 years in the industry. They're much more efficient. The equipment is much larger. The equipment has a lot more technology on it today. And one of the things that I see is that people number one, to start a crop, and the planting is probably the most important component they do to their crop. It's probably the biggest investment they make in that crop is the seed and the preparation and the fertility solutions that go in with the seed and such. And people now, because we have as many analytics as we have today, people very clearly understand what an ideal seedbed condition is. Sure. Okay? And so with the weather, one of the big changes I see is that, 40 years ago, it took most people 2 to 3 weeks to plant a crop. Today, a lot of growers, if they were really pushed, can plant a crop in a week. Sure. And I don't care what size they are. Sure. From that standpoint. And so I see growers, I see our agronomists using these analytics on weather and saying, hey, look, things look pretty good today, but we think by tomorrow night there's a violent system coming down. There's going to be pounding rain. With it, there's going to be a 20-degree drop in temperature. And I see where I think 10 years ago, when that soil condition was right, they jumped out and started planting. Today, I see growers being much more precise on that. You might look up and the tractor's under the barn and the soil conditions look great at that moment. If you go out and I'm bad about that. If I'm traveling down the road and that's the farmer side of me, I might pull in to that headquarters and go, hey man, how come you guys aren't planting? And they said, well, we see some weather conditions changing tomorrow, and we don't want to put this seed in a real wet seed bank and with cooling temperatures and such. And so I think that affects everything we do in our business from that standpoint. And that's the good side of analytics. I mean, it really is. And people that know me have heard me say this forever. When I first started in this business was 50% art and 50% science, okay? When I started my careers, and I called myself an agronomist with BASF, just getting out of college, I kind of call myself a muddy boot scientist or what, but it was art and science. Sure. Today, I think it's 90% science and 10% art. And I don't think you'll ever take the 10 out on it, but we've got such good analytics. We've got such good information. It is so real time that you take a lot of the art out of it, and we can go straight with science and go straight with analytics, and that improves our efficiency, gives us a lot better chance to be right on what we're doing, and a lot better chance to get a good start and get that crop started off under really good conditions.
It's funny you say that precision in the analytics. The forecast that we provide always shifts. So in summer, it's Matt, is it going to rain next week? But
Yep.
around that planting, it's Matt on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Is it going to rain? Is it going to be an inch and a
Yep.
half? And it's like, okay, we've
Yep.
got to buckle down and make this
Yep.
forecast right for them.
Yeah, I'm already, I saw Steve Eichenberger, one of his Dynagrow reports yesterday, and he was out, I think, in northeast Iowa, and he was saying it's 91 degrees, and we're seeing a little corn starting to curl.
Yeah.
And this crop's been up a couple of weeks, and but we also know the subsoil moisture is kind of low there. But you do. It's just funny how quick you shift. 3 weeks ago or a month, he said, "Can you please tell me that there's a 10-day window in here that we can get this crop planted, that the wind's not blowing 40 miles an hour, so we can put the pre-emergence products out and such." And now we're at that phase now where you just about don't want to turn down the rain at any time during it. It might not be ideal, but you really don't want to turn down moisture from this point forward, because these crops are engineered different today too.
Right.
And it takes, these crops have a lot of horsepower, but because it has all that horsepower, that need for moisture is even greater. From that standpoint, that need for how we feed that plant is even greater, and what we've got from a nutrient standpoint of some of our biological nutritionals that we're using, what's available to that plant at that growth stage and stuff. So again, it's back to the science part of this thing.
Finally, Jeff, we're here at the Champaign Innovation Farm. We're in our weather studio outside the building. That young crop stand we just talked about is emerging into a warm June sun in the afternoon here today. It's beautiful. Every direction you look, we're in the middle, heart of the Corn Belt, central Illinois here. What are you most excited about for this facility, what it can mean to Nutrien, its employees, customers, and our partners?
Well, I mean, it's we're sitting here this morning reflecting back on some things, and I can remember in 2018, this was a concept, maybe a bit of a dream. We had an innovation farm we bought down in Mississippi, in Winterville, Mississippi, which is up and operating today, about the same size as this one, and plays a great role for us. But we had this vision, that's for southern agriculture, okay? And we said, man, we need something sitting in the middle of the Corn Belt, because conditions are different here.
Sure.
Very little irrigation here versus all irrigation there. None of the germplasm is the same from that standpoint. So that you had a concept down on a piece of paper, and man, to walk in here today, and I was here for the grand opening, and just like the first time we met here with a leadership team in retail, we just had the white barn that's on the back of the property. There was a little house back there too. And we met in that barn. We actually put straw on the floor, or maybe it was wood chips or something, just so we could have a floor to that space. And then to drive up here today and see this facility, and what I love about this facility, like the room we're sitting in, the building we're sitting in, this looks very similar to one of our retail facilities would look like. So you're not going down the road and there's this monstrous building sitting there that doesn't look like it relates to agriculture. When I ride by this thing, it's very demonstrative of what one of our farm centers would look like, outside of having fertilizer storage and that kind of thing. And I'm excited about what the concept is here and what we're doing. And the concept, number one, we have a huge proprietary products business. We have within that, we've got, to me, the most extensive biological platform of anybody in the business. That includes multinationals from that standpoint. So our bionutritionals, those type products. We've got fantastic adjuvants and surfactants and water conditioning agents, but you need places to do your own demonstrations, to do your own research on. In the past, we depended on other people to do those things for us. And sometimes we depended on our agronomists to put these trials in. And then somewhere in the trial, you weren't there on time for a weigh wagon to show up. You lost a whole year on that side of it. Here, we control everything. We control what we're testing. We control what we're testing for, what we're looking for from a results standpoint. Probably just as important is we're working with our suppliers. And so some of our multinationals that have new product offerings, new concepts around germplasm, our thought process here is that we get those products 3 years in a lot of instances prior to them becoming commercial in the market. That gives us a chance to see how that product works in a cropping condition. It gives us a chance to see what products can we add with that innovation that might make it better from that standpoint. More importantly, it gives us an opportunity to bring our agronomist through this station and show them ahead of time what's coming in 26, what's coming in 27, what's coming in 2028. And so when the products come commercial, and this is a benefit to our customers more so than us, we're not out there trial and erroring with the customers, and they have the risk. We've already done that on the farm.
Yeah.
And so when they become commercial, we're ready to immediately go out commercial with these products. We know which farms these should work on really well. We also know where there could be risk that you don't get that type of return on that product. And so, and we do the same thing with equipment. If you look out here today on the equipment side of things, we've got the most state-of-the-art precision planter out here. We've got the most state-of-the-art spraying equipment and technology around that equipment that we can test and we can train our people on. Our drivers, our applicators can come in here and go through testing, go through training with a simulator that's back in the warehouse back there. And that's if you can't tell, I'm excited about that. I'm excited, and I'm excited about, from our Dyna-Gro seed perspective, that we can put it out here with all kinds of different solutions and programs to determine what does that germplasm work best with and such. So just a world of opportunities here. All of this should put us ahead of anybody in that space that we're competing with, because I don't know anybody else that has those same tools. And we're very fortunate to be a part of Nutrien. We're very fortunate that Nutrien's allowed us to build that type of platform within our business, all in the name of being able to put our growers in a better position for ROI and to prosper. And again, if they prosper, we prosper.
Absolutely. Jeff, again, appreciate you taking the time today. Always great to chat and share with you.
Absolutely my pleasure, and I greatly enjoyed this.